People are scared. Why? Because is brewing. The R word is being thrown around a lot, and the last time R visited, millions of people lost their jobs and homes. A lot of us, especially the Gen Zers that are watching, we never really felt the pressure of a recession, or we were too young to remember it. But the older generation, they have been through a recession or two, okay? And they are traumatized. So if you've never been through a recession before, or you're just too young to remember the last one, you might see it as some kind of Wall Street jargon that finance investor bros debate over, and might be like, how does this really affect me? Like, what should I be doing? So let's back up a little bit to understand. So in 2020, the pandemic caused major global supply chain issues. It became very expensive to ship things around the world, so anything from TVs to couches to a bag of Doritos were more expensive. And since then, inflation has hit an all-time high. People are pulling out of investments and holding onto their cash, and the stock market is plummeting, the cost of living is increasing, groceries are more expensive, breathing is more expensive. And in times of uncertainty like this, gas prices rising, employees are being fired, interest rates are rising, it's really important to be and feel prepared, because things could be like this for a while or get way worse, and you don't want to be caught slipping when a recession is around. So here are some actions you can take right now to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. Number one is to take stock of your finances, aka just understand what the hell is going on. I know a lot of people that avoid looking at their bank statements or their credit card bills because they're probably sure that they're overspending, and the fear of actually facing it, ripping off the band-aid and seeing their statements might be too overwhelming and feel really messy. So we might just, pretend like it doesn't exist. But taking a deep breath and looking at everything to understand, how much you're making, how much you're spending, how much you're saving, what's left over, what are you investing in, how much debt you have, can get you this really big picture to help you understand and have insight into what problems there are you need to fix and what you're doing well in. So feel empowered to take stock of every single dollar that's going in and out of your account, because at the end of the day, that's your money and you want to know what's happening to it. I don't know about you, but I don't play games with my money, okay? I use the Mint app for this. I found it very helpful. It breaks down every dollar, how much you're making, how much you're spending, what you're spending on. It breaks it down into categories so you can easily see with a chart what needs tweaking. Number two is learn to live on a budget and stick to it. Let's be honest, we all need a little bit more discipline in our finance life. Less than a third of American homes have a budget. Mind you, I didn't say stick to a budget. Less than a third of Americans have a budget at all. Just even have a rough outline on what they want to spend on food and what they want to spend on entertainment. I really try to budget around my savings. I know not everyone is in a position to do that, but what I'll do is I'll take all of my income and then I'll basically act like my savings is a utility bill. So I'll, subtract rent, I'll subtract what I want to save, I'll subtract my groceries and utilities, and then whatever's left I'll spend. And then whatever is left is like my guilty-free spending that I can buy those random Amazon totally unnecessary purchases on. But because that spending allowance isn't a huge number, and it's usually not a huge number for most people, you really gotta think. Every time you pull your credit card out, you have to think like, is this important? Do I actually need this? The answer will humble you. Some people even advise to spend like you've already lost your job, because that's when people have their backs up against the wall, and it really makes you think like, maybe I don't need, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Maybe I don't need it all. Also, starting in November, which is like basically now, Netflix is coming out with a low-cost $6.99 a month plan, and that's like 50% off their standard plan, and I know there are definitely some people watching that need to cut down costs somewhere, so I want to see y'all making the switch. Be humble, just take the ads. Number three is to put aside an emergency fund. 56% of Americans don't even have $1,000 in their savings to cover an unexpected cost. Dozens of companies have been firing employees, and that means most people wouldn't have enough money to cover next month's expenses if they were fired today. So you need to put money away for a rainy day. A typical emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses, and I know that's a lot for some people, but honestly, anything you can put towards that is so important. Try to put it in a separate account where you really don't touch it at all, except if it's an actual emergency. Some people even suggest creating an emergency version of your budget so that you have a peace of mind to know what your life would look like if you did have an unexpected cost or if you got fired and you didn't have income for a few months. My fourth tip is to be flexible after graduation. I know there's a lot of 18 to 24-year-olds watching this video, so either those who are in college or are recent grads. And given the current economic climate, a lot of companies are cutting budgets, firing some employees. Some companies have a hiring freeze, and other companies are actually rescinding offers that they've already given out to college graduates. So if you just graduated college or are graduating soon, be flexible. Maybe you won't get your dream job right out of college because of economic reasons on the company side, but that doesn't mean you can't apply and apply again when the company's in a better financial position and can afford to hire more employees. What I would do is take what you can to make ends meet and then go from there. Also, now is not the time to be switching jobs, because if you're young or new in a position, in a recession, the last ones in are the first ones out. Number 5 is to diversify your portfolio and have more than one stream of income. I think a lot of people realized just how important that was during the pandemic, when everyone either got fired or had to stay home, and we were all like, crap. Stay calm! Wait. Everybody calm down! That was, there goes my one stream of income that paid my rent, gave me shelter, gave me food. Our literal lives depended on one company. For me, hopefully one day that'll be from this YouTube channel. Subscribe if you want to support that. But also think of other things like, making and selling things on Etsy if you like handcrafting or DIY or DIY. I always do that. Or DIY projects, posting clothes on Poshmark, selling feet pics, getting a sugar daddy. Look, this is a judgment-free zone, okay? Times are tough. You gotta do what you gotta do. No, but really, during the pandemic, I knew some people who learned a new language or a new skill like computer coding that could be profitable. And time is money, especially if you're young and you don't have children and you have some spare time on your hands. Time is your currency. You can really use it to learn a profitable skill and create several streams of income from it. Number 6 is to make use of your job or your parents' job while you still have it. What do I mean by that? I don't want to scare you, but go to your doctor. Go to that annual checkup. Go to the dentist. Go get your contact prescription, while you still have a doctor. Because as soon as you lose your job, or if you're under 26, if your parents lose their job, you realize really quickly like, okay, well, now I also don't have health insurance. You'll really have wished you got those checkups. Number 7 is quick. Don't get freaked out and not invest or withdraw your investments, because like we've heard from the greatest investors of all time, there is no way to time the market. Pulling out your money out of fear at a certain time or putting it back in at a certain time has consistently shown to not work. But what does work is just keeping your money in the market and not trying to time it and just going with the ebbs and flows of the natural market. Number 8 is get rid of your credit card debt. Now. That should have been done yesterday. I am yelling because it is important. Consumer debt was at an all-time record high last year, when everyone hopped on the struggle bus together during inflation and avocados were like $6. Yeah, people were putting those avocados on their credit cards and racking up their bills. No joke, I went into a store and asked them how much their watermelon was. It wasn't even a big watermelon. You know how much it was? $12. It was like $3.99 before the pandemic. The thing about credit card debt during a recession is that the rates go up. And that's where you get into those really sticky situations where people are paying and paying every month, but are only paying down their interest rates because it's so high, and they're not even paying down their principal amount, like what they actually spent. And that's scary. You can actually just call your credit card company and ask them to lower your rates. And based on your credit history, payment history, credit card usage, they might consider doing that. I didn't even know this until I started doing research for this video, but just this year, 70% of people that just requested a lower interest rate were approved. So I think that's worth like the 5 or 10 minutes of your time that might take. Like that could probably save you thousands of dollars. So you're welcome. Number 9 is to hold off on big purchases or vacations. Now listen, I know we all just want to, catch flights, not feelings, and take that trip to Thailand and, rent that bougie car and get that fancy apartment. Now's not the time. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but now is not that time because you're gonna wish you had that money later when the recession hits and you're broke. And it can be super hard, especially with social media, because it seems like everyone's going on a vacation like every other week. Everyone has a nice car, everyone has a fancy apartment, but don't give in to social media temptations because you do not know their financial situation. You don't know if it's actually mommy or daddy's money, or if they're actually hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, or if they have, you know, a nice little sugar daddy on the side. They could really just be rich and have it well within their means to just throw, you know, $10,000 at a vacation and not even blink. But if you're watching this video, that's probably not you, okay? So don't just do what they do. Number 10 is don't panic. Like, don't we all have enough to be stressed about between the pandemic and monkeypox and elections and freaking almost world war? Like, we don't need to worry about a recession because we're gonna be prepared because we're watching this video. And also, this is just the natural ebbs and flows of the market, and it'll come again and it'll go again and it'll come again. And you don't need to be blowing up your emotions over something that is going to pass. So just take a breath, know that it's gonna pass, stick to your budget, and just ride it out. And I will see you all in the next recession. Bye, guys.